And what do you know? The economy of Spain is actually doing very well. Let's check this out.
Spain's economy is booming, with its growth outperforming other major European countries. Tourism, public investment, and harnessing immigration to boost its labour force have all contributed. But can Spain's economic boom really last?
Okay, yeah, well, that's kind of accurate. That's kind of it. Now, the first thing you have to keep in mind is, why is the economy of Spain booming? Which, don't get me wrong, it is. It is doing very well in terms of, it's mostly tourism. Spain is the second most, is a country that receives the most tourists, the second one after France. France is the country that receives the most tourists. Spain is the second most the country that receives the most tourists in the world. That's a lot of money coming in. That's a lot of money being spent. So that's one factor. The other factor is, he said, investment. That's actually from the European funds, from the COVID recovery funds that is being invested. So that's money that's coming within Europe. Now, it is also true that some of this money is going to the nonsense of the global warming, climate change, green energy bullshit, which I don't think really contributes much to the economy. The numbers for all of that, the solar panel farms and windmills, maybe eventually, but it's not going to be a major player. Spain has the second largest car manufacturing industry in Europe, right after Germany, so that's a number as well. And yes, food production too. Olive oil, greatest exporter, and so on. So all of these things. And there is a little bit of a tiny boom in terms of the tech sector and some of that innovation, right?
As he is associate
a bailout, a rescate, que no era un rescate, as you'd say in Spanish. But it's amazing how they've turned things around. A lot of that has to do with tourism. It has to do with getting more investment from the EU and trying to rebuild the country's economy very quickly after COVID via, controversially, migration.
Right after COVID, during COVID, people were locked down. You couldn't go anywhere. You had travel restrictions. So it was a time of, it was very bad. Now, this is like a boomerang effect, in which all of a sudden people can travel, and yeah, you do these things, right? And not only are you spending the money you could not spend during COVID, you're doing the traveling you could not do during COVID. You have a different appreciation for your freedom in terms of movement, and you go to the places that you were always thinking about going one day, and then, yeah, when you have the opportunity again, you go and do it. So all of that is true. And the investment from Europe is also true. But in terms of the immigration thing, that is something that needs a little bit further explanation. The case is that you see all of these images of the boats with people, illegals from Africa and this and that. A lot of the immigration that goes specifically to Spain, because of the language and because of the former countries, right, that were part of the Spanish Empire, basically all of Spanish-speaking South and Central America. Well, all of those countries, that's what the destination usually is, right? If you can leave those countries and you're looking for a developed country that speaks Spanish, it's going to be Spain. So there's a lot of immigration from America, the American continent, not the United States, even though there is quite a bit of that too, and that's topic for another video. But all throughout Latin America, you have immigration going to Spain. And even though immigration has a lot of challenges, because it is true that there's lots of criminals that are coming from Ecuador, from Venezuela, from Argentina, from all over, you have people doing bad things. But it's also true that when you have a shared language, shared values, shared religion, usually immigration tends to be a little bit more smooth, right? And it's also the case that a lot of these boats with African invasion and illegal immigration, they just go through Spain. I mean, many stay in Spain, but many continue their journey maybe towards, especially from the Middle Eastern area of the world, going further north, either to France or to UK, which is a little bit of the European Afghanistan at this point. So usually it's because of those factors in terms of immigration. Most of the immigration that contributes to the Spanish economy comes from Latin America. Now, these are people that will do what, some of the low-paying jobs. I mean, you have some people that are going to be making maybe a little bit more money and more professionals. Of course, you have that. But the big chunk of it is going to be doing those things. And it works nicely along with tourism, hospitality, hotels, restaurants, and that kind of job. It is not all that unlike what you have in terms of the illegal immigration in the United States, where, I mean, yeah, they have it better than in their own countries. Sure. Are they contributing to the U.S. economy? Yes. Yeah. We won't say otherwise. It is true. If you have 10, 12 million people that are there working, and yes, they also have a huge percentage of people that should get deported, and they are now. But then you have a lot of this immigration that contributes to the U.S. economy. Now, does this mean that it contributes to the economy of the average American or the average Spaniard that was there to begin with? A lot of this economic growth is strongly tied and very much linked to that immigration, right? And those guys are going to work, and those guys are going to make money. And yes, the minimum wage has increased some. But if you separate in economic terms that immigration in Spain and how that contributes to the economy, these are young people, unlike the older people in old Europe, right? So you have an injection of young working people usually doing these jobs. But if you look at the local, right, the local Spaniard, he's probably not better off than he was 5 or 6 years ago or 7 years ago, right? He's still in the same position, but with a higher cost of living, right? So you can bring a pile of people from abroad and have them work and grow the economy. The growing of the economy does not mean the improvement of the quality of life or the economy of people. So Spain is doing a lot better in terms of its economy. Maybe not so much Spanish people, all right? Maybe yes, for the average immigrant that was even worse off in his home country, making a better living there. But for the local, for the average Spaniard, in the same way that you look at the economy of the United States and you think, oh yeah, the economy is doing great, but am I doing great? Is my economy so much better? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Let me know in the comments your personal story or your thoughts regarding this. But the numbers point towards that. You have a lot of immigrants working, economy grows, industry grows. It remains to be seen if that will have an improvement of the economy of the actual citizens that were there to begin with. Right, that's going to be all for now. Remember, if you want to learn more about all this stuff, you have the channel, you can hit the subscribe button, and you have my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Sweet Survival Skills, in the links there below. Take care. See you next time.